Fear doesn't scream. It whispers. It doesn't arrive like a thunderclap, but like a fog that slowly rolls in. It doesn't tell you that you are going to fail. That would be too obvious, too easy to fight. Instead, it tells you to wait. It tells you to prepare more, to gather more information, to get one more certification. It tells you to start tomorrow, always tomorrow. It tells you to stay where it's safe, where the ground is familiar and the risks are known. And before you realize what's happening, the tomorrows have turned into years. The opportunities that once burned so brightly have faded into quiet embers, and life, that relentless river, has quietly moved on without you. This is not a story about becoming fearless, about a grand act of courage. This is a story about what happens when fear stops being the one who decides. Fear is not your enemy. It was never meant to stop you, only to make you pause. Think about its original design. It was a primal alarm system, an ancient guardian wired into your very being to protect you from genuine physical danger. A rustle in the grass, the shadow of a predator. That's what it was for. Fear was designed to protect you from danger, not from growth. But somewhere along the line, in our complex modern world, fear learned a new job. It recalibrated. It began protecting you from things that can't physically harm you. It started protecting you from discomfort, from the judgment in a stranger's eyes, from the possibility of failure, from the vulnerability of being truly seen. And in that slow, subtle shift, fear stopped guarding your life, and it started controlling it. It became the quiet warden of a prison you didn't even know you were in. Most people don't live the life they want. If you look closely, you'll see that they live the life that feels least risky, the life with the fewest variables. They stay in jobs that drain their soul, not because they couldn't do something else, but because the uncertainty of leaving feels more terrifying than the certainty of their quiet dissatisfaction. They remain silent in meetings when they have something vital to say. They swallow their words, their ideas, their truth, because the fear of saying the wrong thing outweighs the potential of their contribution. They abandon dreams they still think about late at night, those persistent whispers of another life, another self. They let them go, not because they aren't capable, not because they lack the talent or the drive, but because fear is a master convincer. It builds invisible walls around you, brick by brick. And the worst part? The truly insidious part? From the inside, those walls feel reasonable. They feel like logic. They feel like responsibility. They feel like being smart. They don't feel like a prison at all. They feel like home. Every significant breakthrough, every single life that has ever changed course begins not with a bang, but with a quiet internal moment. A moment of honest reflection. A moment when you are alone with your thoughts and you ask yourself a dangerous question. Is this really all I am? Is this the extent of my story? This is where fear gets loud. This is its moment to panic. It senses the walls are being tested. It reminds you with vivid detail of every past failure. It plays a highlight reel of your mistakes. It projects a cinematic vision of every worst-case scenario, every possible way you could fall. It gives you a bulleted list of every reason you aren't ready, aren't good enough, aren't the right person for the job. And most people listen. They nod in agreement. They accept the evidence presented and retreat back into the safety of the walls. But a few don't. Not because they are braver or stronger or special, not because they're fearless, but because they are tired. Deeply, fundamentally tired of being controlled. The exhaustion of staying small finally becomes greater than the fear of growing. Here is the truth that no one really tells you about building a life you want. Confidence doesn't come first. Action does. We have it backward. We think we need to feel confident to act, but in reality, we need to act to feel confident. Inner strength is not some hidden treasure you discover on a map. It's something you build, piece by piece, day by day. It's a muscle, and it only grows through resistance,
Every single time you act despite the feeling of fear, you chip away at its authority. Every time you move forward when you are uncertain, when you don't have all the answers, strength takes root. The first time is the hardest. The voice of fear is a roar. But the second time, it's a little quieter. The 10th time, it's just background noise. And slowly, almost without you noticing, the voice in your head that once screamed, "What if I fail?" is replaced by a stronger, calmer, more resonant one. A voice that asks a much more important question: what if I don't try? Think of it as a constant dialogue inside of you, two opposing forces. Fear says, stay small, don't draw attention to yourself, blend in. But strength says, grow anyway. Your potential is more important than your comfort. Fear says, wait until you're ready. Wait until everything is perfect. But strength knows a secret. It says, you'll never feel perfectly ready. Readiness is a myth that keeps you from starting. Fear promises comfort. It promises the familiar, the predictable, the absence of pain. And strength promises growth. And growth often requires discomfort. Here is the fundamental difference between the two. Fear's primary job is to keep you alive. It's about survival. But strength's job is to help you live, to truly live, not just exist, not just survive the day, but to experience, to expand, to become. The moment fear stops leading, the moment you demote it from its position as CEO of your life, everything changes. It doesn't mean the fear vanishes. You still feel doubt. That little knot in your stomach before a big presentation, it's still there. But it no longer decides whether you go on stage. You still feel fear. The hesitation before you click publish or send, it still exists, but it no longer controls your finger. You begin to understand something incredibly powerful. Fear never completely disappears. You simply outgrow it. It becomes like a piece of clothing from your childhood. It's still there in a box somewhere, but it just doesn't fit you anymore. You've become bigger than it. And the life you once imagined, the one you looked at from a safe distance behind those invisible walls, it starts meeting you halfway. The world opens up when you do. So, if fear has been holding you back, if its whispers have become the soundtrack to your life, listen carefully. You don't need to find a magic sword to eliminate fear. You don't need to defeat it in some epic battle. You only need to do one simple, difficult thing. You only need to stop obeying it. Acknowledge its presence. Thank it for trying to protect you. And then, calmly, deliberately, do the thing it's telling you not to do. Because on the other side of that feeling, on the other side of fear, is not failure. It's not the catastrophe it promised. It's strength. It's clarity. It's capability you didn't know you had. And it's the version of you that was always waiting just on the other side of that invisible wall, ready to step forward. Stop letting fear hold you back. Your inner strength has been ready all along.